Hello friends, it's me, and today let's watch Food Theory. Are Poppi and Olipop actually healthy? From the food theorists. Together, let's go. Let's start. Thank you.
Poppi is popping off, and it's starting a whole buzz around these new, healthy, functional sodas. But are these healthy sodas really part of our fizzy future? Or are these claims as hollow as an empty can? Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the show that puts the fun in functional. And
Hello Internet, welcome to Food Theory.
Speaking of functional, there's a new wave of trendy drinks that are popping up all over our grocery store shelves that we need to talk about. And its name is functional soda. Yeah, you heard me right. And no, these drinks aren't doing your taxes or anything useful like that. Instead, functional drinks are beverages that claim to provide some sort of health benefit outside of ordinary taste and hydration. Technically, this definition can include things like sports and energy drinks since they provide an additional benefit too. But we're not talking about those today. Instead, we're focusing on the massive growth of one part of the functional beverage market, functional sodas. That's right, sodas that supposedly has health benefits. And if that sounds too good to be true, buckle up. Dozens of brands have sprouted up all over the place that you might have seen before, but never really knew what they were. I'm talking Olipop, Poppi, Culture Pop, Simply Pop. What's up with all the pop names? I mean, there are other brands like Sunsip, Wild Wonder, and more.
I thought he was gonna say K-pop! Sorry.
All these functional sodas are part of an approximately $440 million industry. In fact, these brands have gotten so big that they've attracted the attention of the big boys in the soda space. And of course, I mean Coke and Pepsi. Earlier this year, Coke launched their own functional soda label, Simply Pop, with 5 different flavors. And, likely panicked that they didn't have a functional soda to call their own, Pepsi went out and bought one of the biggest functional soda brands out there right now, Poppi, for $2 billion. That's right, a brand some of you probably have never even heard of, just sold for a cool $2 billion. It's been all over the food sphere headlines. It's clearer than Crystal Pepsi that functional sodas are here to stay. But the question is, are they actually healthy? I mean, how can you make soda, one of the unhealthiest beverages we have, into an actively healthy product? That is what I aim to find out today. So pop a seat next to Poppi, loyal theorists, and crack open a cold one as we find out whether the healthy soda market is about to pop off or if we're about to burst its bubble. So to start off, how do all
I'm not gonna lie, this video from the food theorists, a lot of things rhymes with pop.
these companies claim that their soda is healthy in the first place? Well, for one, they all tend to be pretty low in calories, with calorie counts ranging from around 25 to 50 calories per 12-ounce can. Compare that to a typical can of Coke, and clearly there's a big difference. But low-calorie sodas are not new, and it's not what makes these functional sodas so different. You see, whether it's Poppi or Olipop or any one of the functional sodas on the market, they all claim to help your body in one specific way, improving your digestive health. That's right, it all comes down to your gut, or more specifically, the tiny microbes living in your gut. You see, your gut, but especially your intestines, are filled with microbes, like a lot of microbes. There's estimated to be around 100 trillion, with a T, microscopic organisms living inside your gut at any given time. There's 10 times as many microbes living in your body as there are actual you cells living in your body. That means only 10% of the cells in your body are even yours. So does that even make me me? Who is me? What is Santi? What's even real anymore? Questions for
Alright, let's stop with the existential crisis, please.
another time. Where was I? Oh yes, gut bacteria. Collectively, all of these bacteria, fungi, and viruses are known as your gut microbiome. All totaled up, your gut microbiome actually weighs around 4.4 pounds, or 2 kilograms. So if you're trying to lose those last few pounds, consider clearing out your gut microbiome. Or alternatively, don't ever do that. Because as it turns out, your gut microbiome is way more important to your overall health than you might have otherwise realized. Despite most of your microbiome being bacteria, something we typically associate with bad things like getting sick, the vast majority of the bacteria who have set up camp inside your tum-tum are actually beneficial. Those good bacteria form a symbiotic relationship with us where we both benefit. We give the bacteria a source of food, and they carry out a variety of processes that make our lives easier. They have enzymes that allow us to break down certain vitamins like B1, B9, B12, and K, which otherwise we wouldn't be able to do. Those bacteria also break down of bile our body uses to digest fats, allowing that bile to be recycled. But its biggest function is to break down certain complex carbohydrates and dietary fibers that our digestive system can't ordinarily break down. And by doing this, those bacteria create short-chain fatty acids that, in turn, help strengthen your gut. Thanks, gut microbiome. I don't care if you make me question whether my existence is truly my own. You're nifty. But it's not just our
Thank you. Thank you so much.
digestive system that's affected by our gut bacteria. Research has shown that a healthy gut microbiome plays a role in your immune system, your heart, and even your mental health. So clearly, maintaining a healthy gut microbiome is important. But how the heck can a soda help with that? Two words: probiotics and prebiotics. Probiotics and prebiotics are probably buzzwords you've heard thrown around the food space at some point, likely on something like the packaging of a yogurt. But you may not know exactly what they mean or why they're in your drink. Let's take these terms one at a time. Probiotics help your gut bacteria because they are gut bacteria. Normally, you'd find probiotics in things like yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut. You can also find them in some of our functional soda brands, namely Culture Pop and Wild Wonder. And more or less, they're made of the same bacteria that are already inside of your gut. The idea being that by consuming the good bacteria in your gut, it should replenish those bacteria numbers and improve overall gut health. I say should because, as it turns out, there's not as much evidence that probiotics are as helpful for the average person as you might think. In fact, the American Gastroenterological Association, the biggest gut nerds there are, say they only recommend patients take probiotics in 3 very specific scenarios. 1, if you're on antibiotics, since those tend to kill your gut bacteria. 2, preterm infants. And 3, those with a specific gastrological condition known as pouchitis, which is a side effect of, again, some very specific surgeries. Oh, and also, looking at the species of microbes the AGA does recommend, the kind found in Wild Wonder and Culture Pop are not among them. Do with that as you will. So while probiotics have shown to be no doubt safe and some do benefit from them, it seems there's no real great evidence that they help healthy people much at all. So instead of probiotics, some GI doctors actually recommend patients add something else to their diet: more fiber, aka prebiotics. Prebiotics, unlike probiotics, are not live bacteria, but rather bacteria food. They're also just way more common in the functional soda space. Basically, every single functional soda on the market talks about their prebiotic ingredients. Prebiotics are a special kind of dietary fiber that we, as humans, are unable to digest. But you know who can and does? Our gut bacteria. Those fibers include inulins, root fibers, and soluble corn fiber. By feeding your gut more of these prebiotic ingredients they love, that actually helps keep your gut microbiome stable and healthy. This is the process of producing those short-chain fatty acids we talked about earlier. The only problem is the average person does not consume nearly enough dietary fiber or prebiotics in a day. The USDA recommends that women under 50 should have around 25 grams of dietary fiber per day and men 38 grams. Unfortunately, the average American only consumes around 10 to 15 grams per day. And for all of you European theorists out there, you're also likely short by about 10 grams. That's a pretty big diff. So it would seem like a good idea. If you wanted to supplement your diet with more fiber, why not get it from a can of sweet-tasting soda? The question is, how many of these functional sodas would you have to drink to close the gap? If you pull up a
Look, if you want to have fiber and also looks delicious, might I suggest making salads? Maybe. Granted, in some places salad is a bit expensive, so sorry.
can of Olipop, one of the biggest functional soda brands, you'll see that one 12-ounce can contains around 9 grams of dietary fiber, which is not bad. That's around the same amount of fiber as a full cup of green peas. That means, assuming you're already consuming around 15 grams of fiber per day, you'd only need around 1 to 2 cans of Olipop to reach that USDA recommended level. But that high level of fiber isn't found in all of the brands. Take Poppi, you know, the one that Pepsi just paid $2 billion for. They only have around 2 to 3 grams of fiber per can, depending on the flavor. That would mean that a woman would need to drink 4 to 5 cans a day to close that gap, and men 8 to 12 cans. At 12 cans, that would be around 300 calories, 420 grams of sodium, and around 60 grams of sugar. Plus, let's face it, no one's drinking 12 cans in a day. So yeah, 2 grams of fiber per can is pretty minuscule, especially when you compare it to some of the other brands like Olipop. It's kind of messed up that Poppi is out here praising its prebiotic benefits when it has so few prebiotics in it. And you know who else thought so? Consumers! That's why why in May of last year, Poppi was hit with a class action lawsuit by customers for false advertising. The defendants claimed, as we just showed you, that the amount of prebiotics in a can of Poppi is way too low to generate any real gut benefit. And if you drink multiple cans to make up the difference, all the supposed health benefits will be negated by the elevated sugar levels. Keep in mind, this lawsuit started before Pepsi bought Poppi. So Pepsi saw they were getting sued for false advertising and was like, not a deal breaker. And what do you know? The day after Pepsi acquired the functional soda brand, Poppi agreed to settle the case for $8.9 million. That's chump change compared to what Pepsi was paying for the whole brand. But that does mean if you have bought a Poppi anytime since January of 2020, you might be entitled to some compensation. Yeah, a very small one. $10 tops for most people. But paying out a multi-million-dollar settlement for false advertising isn't the only thing that separates Poppi from its competitors, because Poppi also has a secret ingredient. You see, before Poppi was getting bought out for billions or being the focus of a super funny educational YouTube food series, subscribe by the way, Poppi
Yeah, subscribe! Thank you.
appeared on a TV show you might have heard of called Shark Tank, but it looked a little bit different than the company we know today.
Mother Beverage. Mother Beverage is an all-natural, sparkling probiotic drink made with organic fruits and herbs, and most importantly, apple cider vinegar.
That's right. Before Poppi was, well, Poppi, it was called Mother, named after the collection of microbes that are used to make vinegar, the mother. And we know some of these microbes must have been in the original recipe. Why? Well, if you zoom in on the bottle of the Shark Tank episode, you can see that it says probiotic, which, if you remember from earlier, means it contains live bacteria. And if you search online for the Mother nutrition label, you can see that it used to contain no dietary fiber and no prebiotic ingredients. The major selling point was its apple cider vinegar. If you could all join me in a communal blech down in the comments for this, I would greatly appreciate it. I mean, just look at Mark Cuban's reaction to trying it.
Lime ginger.
That's the face of a man who's not even pretending to like that drink. Why would you ever put apple cider vinegar in your drink you expect people to, you know, drink? Well, apple cider vinegar, or ACV as the cool hipsters out in LA call it, is one of those things that often gets brought up in certain circles as basically a cure for everything. Some say it can help refine complexion, aid digestion, lower cholesterol, promote weight loss, detoxify, stabilize blood sugar levels, and even boost energy. Is there anything ACV can't do? Turns out, yeah, most of those things. Although, to be fair, there is some, albeit limited, scientific evidence for some, albeit limited, of these claims, namely regulating blood glucose and cholesterol in some people. There was also a study in 2018
Yeah, a lot of some.
that found that people who were already dieting and exercising and drank about 15 milliliters of ACV, about the same amount of a can of Poppi, lost slightly more weight than those who didn't suffer through it. But as for the rest of the claims, they're suspect at best and dangerous at worst. I mean, ACV is an acid after all, so drinking it too often could potentially ruin your tooth enamel or trigger acid reflux. And you know what's funny about all this? If you go to Poppi's website right now, you won't find any mentions of this. The only real mention of ACV anywhere on their website says, and I quote, "Every can of Poppi contains apple cider vinegar, which gives our flavors a mouth-watering edge. Seriously, try it." I'm gonna go with no thank you, but basically, Poppi doesn't talk about ACV anywhere, or at least they don't anymore. You see, I did a bit of digging using my old friend the Wayback Machine and saw that Poppi's website used to claim way more benefits from ACV, including the ones that aren't backed by science. But sometime around 2023 or 2024, they completely scrapped all of this from their site and changed it to just talking about its unique flavor. Their TikToks from around the same time were also gassing up the benefits of ACV and their product in general. And all of this was in contrast to what its founder, Alison Ellsworth, had said. In an interview once, she said, when referring to the benefits of ACV, that Poppi isn't toting a bunch of claims because there's not a ton of studies backing those claims up. But as she was saying this, Poppi's website was making all of these claims, and they probably stopped to avoid getting sued, even though they ended up getting sued anyway. And so
Okay, so it's something similar to, you know what? Trust me, bro. Okay, I guess I can trust you.
So ultimately, what we're left with is an industry of functional sodas that make a lot of promising health claims, but there's a pretty big disparity between all these companies and just how true those claims are. Take Poppi. It's a company that started off as a low-calorie drink with apple cider vinegar that praised its benefits. But then, due to a lack of real evidence for those benefits, they slowly backed away from the claims and instead started focusing their branding on the prebiotic ingredients in their drink. But again, there wasn't enough prebiotics in their soda, so they were sued for false advertising. So in the end, what's Poppi good for? A low-calorie soda with some fiber and apple cider vinegar that might do something? And that's kind of the biggest bummer I took away from researching for this episode. I had to comb through countless scientific papers, lawsuits, marketing materials to find out the truth about what these sodas are all about. This is my job, and it still took me so much time. How can consumers ever be expected to know what's true and what's not? And in the case of Poppi, despite being sued, they were still bought by Pepsi for $2 billion because of the amount of money that they're bringing in the market right now. Look,
And the unfortunate truth is, for the vast majority of us, in which we don't know and we don't care and we don't have the time to do proper research, we just listen to the loudest voice. And a lot of times, the loudest voice is the people that can do the most amount of advertisements, the one that is most active promoting it, and the one that is most wealthiest. In which, like, hey, even though what I'm saying right now might get me into a lawsuit, I'm still gonna say it. I'm gonna earn more than I'm going to lose from the lawsuit. So unless the penalty fits the actions, such things will just come back. And the audience, the vast majority of us, is going to be a victim.
Look, there's a collective desire among consumers nowadays to take healthy eating way more seriously than we ever have before. But with that desire to be healthier, there's also going to be a wave of companies that are looking to cash in on that and promise you a cure for your ailments. Sometimes those claims are backed up by scientific research, but most times those benefits are over-exaggerated, or they're based on little evidence, or just straight up untrue. But they bank on people hearing the health buzzwords and whipping out their wallets, thinking that this actually not so healthy thing will be the answer to their health journey. Sure, they have less sugar than, say, a regular Pepsi, but someone convinced that Poppi or some other functional soda is healthy might end up chugging more than one and making up for that difference in sugar and calories. The success of Poppi and the money it's bringing in for Pepsi might encourage these other brands to start throwing around these terms like prebiotic and probiotic, all while charging you more than double what regular sodas do. Even the diet ones that don't have any sugar. That's not to say it isn't a good middle ground if you're not a fan of diet and don't want to overload on sugar, but the premium price tag for a bunch of false promises sets up a bad precedent that other companies will follow, taking advantage.
Exactly, there's a huge monetary incentive, huge monetary encouragement to huge monetary benefits for them to continue doing it. And if they were to get penalized for it, get punished for it, the penalized is like a slap to the wrist. Bam! And they are going to earn more than that. It's like, the punishment doesn't fit the... You get the point, don't you?
Advantage of us, the average consumer, looking to be a bit healthier in our diet. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. And hey, if you want to see a company actually use its marketing power for just water, make sure to click the link on the screen now. And as always, I'll see you next week.
Well, thank you so much for teaching us. Thank you so much, Sanji, from the Food Series, for this video. Thank you. You taught us some important knowledge. And knowledge is power. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit.